What actually happens when someone makes a work of art? Our guest today is Emma Hercus, a painter based in Plimmerton, north of Wellington. Known for her dreamlike figures, scratched back surfaces, and rich washes of colour, Emma's work often explores people, place, and the lingering feeling of memory. In today's episode of Articulate, we'll talk about process, instinct, philosophy, and the strange relationship between intention and surrender that sits at the heart of creating something by hand. Hello, Emma. Welcome to our studio today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's cool to be here.
So today, Emma, is all about making, this big
Yep.
idea of making,
Yep.
and also what actually happens during the process of making. And you're a painter, obviously, an artist. And to start, I wonder if I could ask you maybe to describe what your studio or the space that you make in feels like when you're in the middle of making.
My studio is my living room, so it's always warm and cozy, and in winter I always have the fire going and I look out towards Porirua Harbour, which is beautiful, and my garden. I got my dog. It feels like home. It's like my happy place. I love being there. Yeah, so and especially when I'm in the middle of a painting, that's like the best time. Like the start of a painting's always kind of hard. It's frustrating, and you know it takes a while to get going. But when you're in the middle, that's just like when you're in the flow and you're really enjoying it, and it's fun. I just love paintings. I love seeing the brush strokes and that a person's created it with their hands. And I also do like the fact that you can hang it on a wall and look at it like a window into another world. I mean, and also it's like you can pick up paints and you can take them anywhere. It's kind of easy. You know, it's not like sculpture or like where you have to have a big shed and you've got to be really good at woodwork or whatever. You know, painting's something you can teach yourself. And I never really liked computers, and I hate rules. Like I love that you can just do whatever you want to do. So that's what's great about being an artist, is you're your own boss and you can just do whatever you feel like.
What usually happens before a painting begins for you, Emma? Like if I can go a step back, maybe like we just talked about the middle.
So it all depends on the painting. I had an exhibition at 26 a while ago that was called Kindred, and that was based on like that I found this big box of family photos from way back to the 1920s. So each of those photos for me was like a starting point for my painting. And so that would start me off. But generally, I just have to cover the canvas with something. Like I can't start with a blank white canvas. I just cover it with. It doesn't matter what. I'm just like throw paint at it. Once I've done that, then I'll either like go to my reference, which might be a photo, or I might have an idea and I might have sketched up a few drawings. Or sometimes I have a dream, and I wake up and I got to write that down. Like I go to bed at night and I'm like dreaming about like how I get to sleep is I like try and figure out a painting. And so then the next day I'll have that in my mind. That's how I start.
Also, you talked there a bit about ideas, Emma, and like I wanted to ask about meaning for you and like when you go into creating a painting, making something. Does meaning do you have meaning already, or do you think that meaning comes through more of the process of creation?
So every single painting for me is different. I don't have any rules. For an example, like one night my son was really sick and he had asthma and he couldn't breathe properly, so I was up all night with him and he was like struggling to breathe and it was really stressful. And then the next day I just wanted to paint that, and I love him so much. He's my youngest, and that was so that painting had a lot of meaning, and I feel like the ones that have meaning are more powerful, and people can feel that when they look at them. Yeah, the meaning sometimes does come during, like I might just have an idea of, say, like some hands coming down and picking up a person and how that could be an amazing image, and then I'll think up like a story to go along with that, or I'll do some reading of like, I don't know, ancient myths or old ballads, things like poems that might have a story where that might happen. And some are just from my childhood, like lots of the foraging exhibition that you went to at 26, that was inspired by my childhood growing up on a farm in Taumaranui. Yeah, going eeling and rabbit shooting and things like that.
I love it.
Yeah, so life.
Yeah, it's a good segue actually, because I wanted to ask you about place anyway, Emma, and maybe I can ask like a twofold question, since you mentioned your upbringing in Taumaranui, but also you're in Plimmerton now, in Porirua, north of Wellington.
Yeah,
How do you think that the place informs the person when it comes to an artist? Like, do you find that it's intertwined, or how does where you are affect your creative process, I guess, your inspiration, imagination?
I mean, every day I go for either a walk or like a very slow run with my dog. So I'm always out on the waterfront in Plimmerton. It's so beautiful there, looking out towards Whitecliffe and Mana Island, and like I'm always looking at the birds and the seaweed and the shells, and I'll be picking up shells and looking at like the beautiful patterns in some of them that they have. And I look across at Whitecliffe, I'm always staring at those hills, and often that's in my paintings. But then there's also like the energy that I get from being out in the weather, and that like sometimes it's really windy and hectic, and it might make me feel kind of flustered and a bit angry, and I might come in and I'm like and that might have a different effect on my painting to if it was like a beautiful sunny day and I felt warm and I don't know, just happy and calm. And yeah, so the landscape affects it, but also I feel like you get a lot of energy from where you are. I love painting, outside scenery. I actually like painting inside because it doesn't blow all over the place. But yeah, I do love the outdoor scenes, the landscapes and stuff behind my people, because I feel like, I don't know, in New Zealand it's everywhere. Like we live quite outdoorsy lifestyles, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard thinking like how, could it not affect a person or their output as well, because it's almost, we are also the outside. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it like that, it can't not affect us.
Well, we become, like, we die and we become part of it, don't we?
100%.
All our ancestors are like, somewhere there, aren't they?
Yeah, in it.
Buried in it, or, become a tree or whatever.
And then in us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Process of extinction.
Yeah. That's crazy thinking about that.
Do you think making art, Emma, changes the person making it too? Like when you engage in the process of making, how does that affect you? When
I'm making something that is I really like, and I'm having a good time, it makes me feel happy, and it's like uplifting. And then it can be really frustrating at the same time. Yeah, that changes you, but the process of researching and reading, and that I've been doing lots of since I've been studying, learning about history and philosophy and stuff, I feel like that's really changing how I make my work and how I think about it. I don't know, it's always good to read stuff. It always does change you as a person, doesn't it? Like I've been reading a lot about the rewriting of mythology by women. I love it. It's amazing. It's so cool how they are retelling these stories that were basically not ever spoken about. And say like the Odyssey or whatever, they talk all about these heroic men doing all these brave, incredible things. And then they raped these women. They never really mentioned that. And these women, they're basically slaves or mothers, but they're kind of pushed to the wayside. And so these women have come out, like Margaret Atwood and Pat Barker and Emily Hauser, and they've been rewriting these incredible books. And Emily Hauser's is quite interesting because she's also looking at archaeology. She takes little pieces out of all of this archaeology and these old clay tablets that they found that were lists of like slaves and what they needed. And
wow.
It's so interesting, and I feel like that is changing me as a person and how I think about my work and where it should start from. By rewriting those myths, that's kind of starting to change the culture. I mean, it has changed so much, and it is changed, But I feel like those stories need to change so that people can read, from a different perspective.
On the note, Emma, you mentioned there like your study at Whitecliffe, and I wanted to get into a bit like when you are, I suppose, interrogating your own work and also potentially others' work so closely and thinking about art in a more academic or philosophical sense.
Yeah.
How do you still protect your own creative instincts as an artist without kind of veering too far down the
Academic.
overthinking spiral, more in the, how do you stay in your body rather than the head?
For me, the academic side of it is it's a bit separate from how I make my work. So generally when I make my work, I always just put on some loud music and like rough up the canvas, and then I think about it later. Like I'll have a basic idea from my research or whatever I've been doing, and then I go ahead and just create stuff. And they say that to us, just go ahead and make, just go crazy, just make and experiment and try all sorts of different stuff, and then think about it. Yeah, and then you can go ahead and maybe change your process a little bit. But I don't think it has changed my creativity and how once I'm in the flow, how I go ahead doing things.
In that sense, I wonder if I could ask, do you think process is almost more important than the finished work when it comes to making?
Yeah.
Where do you sit on that?
I feel like it's the process and the final work is all kind of one and the same thing, Like process is like, okay, so you're baking a cake and it takes you ages and then you get the cake at the end. I mean, wouldn't you be a bit brassed off if you didn't have the cake at the end of like doing all that hard work? So I feel like it's all super important. Like it's the artwork at the end is the reward, and sometimes the process can be really frustrating, but you just have to be determined and just keep going. I just keep going and keep going and keep going until I like it. I don't often abandon works. Yeah, I mean sometimes I'll put them aside for a while, but I never really abandon them. I'm just determined to make it work, and it always does if you just keep going.
What role does experimentation or play in your work, Emma, and your process?
Heaps. I love trying new surfaces. And
cool.
I've started painting with oils on top of acrylics, and I love sanding things back, and I'm always looking at different ways of doing things. Yeah, I feel like that the accidental things are the most magical parts of a painting. When you throw heaps of water on top of things and then scrape it off, and where the water was, the paint disappears, and where it wasn't, it stays. And sometimes when I sand down through the layers and you see all the different like colours coming through from underneath of that history of the painting, like that's the magic. That's like what you can't do on purpose.
The little trail of what you've left or done previously.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes things amazing.
I also wanted to ask you, Emma, you previously said, and I really loved this, that your ideas grow while you're working, almost like solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
I really loved that analogy and metaphor of art making. And on that, I wanted to ask if you think making art is more about maybe control, like figuring all the pieces out, or surrendering to the puzzle almost.
Yeah, so definitely surrendering to the puzzle. You need something to start you off, but then you just have to let it go and turn the music up and just like it kind of just comes to you. The colours especially intuitive and instinctive, and when you look around the room or look outside or you think about whatever you're painting, they kind of just come into your head. Yeah, so surrendering for sure.
Do you think art should always be explainable, Emma?
No, I don't think it should be explainable. I feel like everyone should have their own meaning for the piece of art. Like I love ambiguous artworks. I feel like they're the most interesting. And there was that guy, this guy Jerry Saltz. Do you follow him?
I don't know Jerry Saltz.
I think he writes for the New York Times.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
an art writer.
An art writer, and his wife
Amazing.
Roberta, someone. I think she said like the artist doesn't own the meaning of their artworks, which I really liked, because I feel like, you know, when I've painted pictures and I'll go to my exhibitions and people will be talking to me and they'll be like, oh, what does this one mean? And I'll be like, oh, what do you think it means?
Yeah.
And they always come up with like the most incredible like story behind it that comes to them. So I don't want to mess with that too much. I feel like that's so incredible that everyone has their own take on the work.
How do you know, Emma, when a painting is finished? You said before that just when you like it. But
Yes.
is it as simple as that for you?
Or when you don't feel like you can do any more. Like there's a point where, and sometimes you overdo it and then you ruin it. So it's hard to know exactly when to stop. But then again, you could just keep going and going and going and going, but then you would only ever have one painting. So you've got to stop at some stage, you know. So I feel like it's just, yeah, when I feel like I could hang it on my wall, when I look at it and I'm happy and it pleases me, you know.
You're just like, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
okay with
I'm
that.
happy with that. Yeah. But also the looseness, like it's good to keep some looseness and some unfinished parts there. I like that too.
I also wanted to ask Emma, like, we're in a bit of a weird world, I feel like, at the moment with AI and like technology and image making, especially where like a computer can make all sorts of images now, artworks, you know, instead of physically by hand. And I want to ask, what do you think gets lost when images are not made by hand? And do you think people can feel when something has genuinely been crafted by a human, not a computer?
Well, I feel like AI is quite predictable and boring, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So like I went to this exhibition by Yvonne Todd at the Cleaver Gallery. Did you see that?
Yes, I've
Autochromes.
seen. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, all AI generated.
All AI generated portraits, and she uses a specific AI. What do you call them?
Tool. Yeah. Generator.
That and she plugs in herself, so she references herself, you know, and then says what she wants it to look like, and I thought those were incredible. But then there's so much of her in those, so I feel like if you use AI and you put a lot of yourself into the writing for the AI, the explaining and the telling it what to do, I feel like then there can still be like that human touch. But I mean, they can't paint. They can't do lots of different paint strokes. And I mean, I could never create one of my paintings again. They're all, you know, that's it. Well, I've done it once. I can't ever repeat that. Yeah. So I don't know. Could AI ever do a painting that's like original? And it can't. It's always taking from something, so it's never going to be completely original.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a bit boring.
Yeah, referential, right?
Yes.
Because it's been informed.
But then we've all been informed too.
Exactly.
We're all drawing from our references and how we see the world and stuff.
But a robot's not a person, of course.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it could ever pick up a brush, I mean.
But maybe one day it will be able to have original thought.
Maybe that's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
And what would they look like, the paintings, if it could do a painting?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They might be really good, actually.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I think just lastly, Emma, you've brought in an object from your creative life to share with us today. Can you tell us what it is and what's the story behind it?
So this here is my great Auntie Marge's old painting kit.
I love it.
And so she was really cool. She was like
Little palette.
Yeah, there's a palette.
Oh my God, it's a wooden palette.
And she was like you know how there were heaps of single chicks back then because lots of men died in the war. Anyway, she was amazing, and she was, look at it.
Oh my God.
So one day I need to get out there and paint in her little paint pot, and that like sits on.
It like
things.
clips in.
Yeah, clips in.
Do you ever use it, Emma?
I haven't used it yet because I didn't get it so long ago.
But you just keep it.
I've just got it, but I want to. Yeah, I will. And I think there's a bit of charcoal in there.
That's amazing that she also was an artist, though.
She was an artist, and she was a florist as well. And she used to She did that. There's a photo of a big bunch of flowers that she did for the Queen when she came to New Zealand.
Oh my God, no way. For the Queen, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. She was awesome, Auntie Madge. She
you-
used to dive into the swimming pool in all her clothes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she had one of those horns that she got up the driveway and it'd like sound like Roadrunner, you know, so you knew she was coming.
I love it. Where do you keep this, Emma? In your studio or just at home?
Yeah, in my studio. It's in my studio, and one day I will use it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use these paints. But,
I don't know either.
yeah.
You could cut it open and see.
Yeah,
You never know.
I probably could actually.
They're oils, right?
They're oils, yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warm it up in some water.
Winsor
or something.
Newton. I use Winsor Newton these days. Yeah.
That's amazing. So it runs in the family.
So it runs in the family, and she also used to do a lot of embroidery as well. And my mum's pretty creative too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels very fitting talking about also a great woman, and we have great Auntie Marge here
Yeah.
today too.
Great Auntie Marge and
Yeah.
my nan and my mum.
Shout out, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
that's
so much, Emma, for
That's
coming
okay.
in. I love that.
Thank you so much.
That was Emma Hercus, and I'm André Chumko. You can find more episodes of Articulate on YouTube, Spotify, or at thepost.co.nz/articulate. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.